Hi, this is Yuval. Today I want to share with you Kanban system design that I've been using lately that helps you balance the need to visualize and manage different levels of hierarchies on the board, like features and stories, together with the ability to have clarity in the board and have good metrics. I will use specifically Linkit as the um, tool, Linkit Kanban as the tool in this video, but you can probably also um, get similar kinds of designs on other tools, although Linkit Kanban does it very nicely. So basically, let's start with the view of features. We start with features. We have a system where we have options of features we want to implement and deliver. Those features are here in a backlog. At the end, we release them, collect feedback, and then move on to other things. And the process that we have is one where we have a big feature, we try to extract or pull a minimally marketable feature from it, a smaller feature that will flow faster in our system. Then once we have this minimally marketable feature, we go and implement it. Once it's done, we ready it for release, release it, collect feedback, and then we're done with it. It's validated whether we reached our target or not. This is at the level of features. But if we talk about features, we don't have too much details of what's going on inside. If we talk about smaller features, yeah, those smaller features might run through design, development, and testing as an atomic unit, but larger features will have a problem. A larger feature might stay here in implementation for a long time, and if we wait to design all of it and then develop all of it, um, it will not be an effective way of flow within the system. So basically what we typically do is we cut it into smaller user stories which then flow one by one or in smaller groups across the internal process of design, development, and testing. And what we want now is to visualize both the flow of the features as well as flow of those stories. So if we disregard the big features for a moment and look at the flow of the stories, this is how it looks like. These are just the stories that are currently in the pipeline. Upcoming ready stories, stories being designed, waiting for development, waiting for release for QA, waiting for QA, being tested, pending bug fixes, and stories that are done and waiting for the feature to be completed, aggregated all of the stories that are necessary for the minimally marketable feature, and then when all of those stories related to a feature are completed, the MMF will appear here again. So on one hand we have the stories, on the other view we have the features. Let's look at all of them together again. So we have the features and the stories, and now we have quite some mess. And what we want is to understand some relationships. So what I'm using here is I'm using different card types to allocate the relationship between the MMFs, the big features, and their underlying stories. So for example here, I can say there is a limited amount of big MMFs that will be in progress because we limit the WIP. So for example, if we say that the limit is at most 4, we have 4 card types for big features and 4 card types for the smaller stories. So if we want to focus now just on feature 1 and its stories, now we can have this view that shows just big feature A is currently in progress, but if we want to drill down into the stories for this feature, we see those stories in the flow. We see that most of the feature is already done. We have some stories which are being tested and one last story that is in development. We have a clear picture of what is going on with this feature. We can also have a view which just emphasizes those stories but keeps the other stories in the background, other stories and features in the background. If we want to look at the other feature that is in progress, we can show it like this. The different colors here are different classes of service, by the way. So we have another classification of the cards, but for the moment the important part is the different card types. We can also see some help here that the card types for 2 have an indication of 2 on them to make it clearer to see the relation even if we look at the whole board. Big feature 1 and the stories for 1 are clearly indicated here. Now there are reasons for the separation here of the big MMFs being outside of the implementation. We basically want to say that in each lane there will be only one type of level in the hierarchy. So for example, I would try to avoid having a big feature and its stories in the same lane. It's okay to have smaller features which will not be broken down into smaller lower level items together with the stories, because this small feature basically behaves like a story here. But those big ones will not go into the implementation. If at some later video we talk about analytics and how to track a project using this kind of board or system, we will understand why this might be useful. So to sum up, we have a Kanban system design which provides hierarchies, both features and stories. You can do it for whatever hierarchy that you have. You don't really need to have actual physical lanes. That is the other option of visualizing the hierarchies, but there are real advantages to keeping a simpler design like this one. You use the board, the visibility, the monitor space that you have in a more effective way. You get easier, clearer analytics in most of the Kanban tools out there. Some tools don't even support horizontal swimming lanes, so this is your only option. And the main features that you need in order to implement this kind of system design is different card types, to have this ability to relate, create different cards and create this relationship via the card types, as well as this ability for easy to use filters that hide or dim different kinds of card types according to what you want to focus on. Sometimes you want to look at the whole system, sometimes you want to focus on a certain type of card, sometimes just on the small features. Ideally you would be able to save the filters, something that for example Agile Zen lets you use, saving filters to be used later on. So a filter of let's focus on feature 1, a filter of focus on feature 2, but even without this saving it's quite easy to manage this. And that's basically what you need. Hope this gives you some ideas of how to evolve your own Kanban system design. And remember, this is just an idea of how to use things. The important thing is to look at your own workflow and what patterns are a fit, something you want to experiment with in your environment. Don't just take a template and copy it, take it and use it as a starting point. This was Yuval from Agile Sparks. If you want to learn more about Kanban, you might want to come to one of our Kanban trainings or follow in my blog at yuvalyeret.com.